What it do, what it do, what it do? Welcome back to the channel, baby.
Yeah.
What it do, what it do, what it do, Half and J family. Welcome back to the channel, baby.
Yes.
It's your boy Half.
And Girl J.
And we back
with another reaction video.
All right, y'all, man, we back over here once again. Hope everybody having a good Wednesday, hump day. Hope you're getting your, you know what I'm saying? Oh. But anyway, we about to hit you all with another lit reaction, man, another legendary reaction. So let them know who we're going to react to today.
We are reacting to Thomas Sowell.
Thomas Sowell. And reaction, or the commentary is?
Facts about slavery never mentioned in school.
Facts about slavery. And I wonder why they never really taught that kind of stuff back when we was going to school and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I wonder why it was never brought up and things. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I always wondered that though. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder why in Hawaii they have interstates. You know, so you know. But anyway, it's like I wonder what came first, the egg or the chicken.
Okay.
Oh, okay. My bad.
All right.
But anyway,
let's too deep with
too
it.
deep. You know, but let's jump to the reaction though, man. But before we do, everybody that's out there who has not yet subscribed to that Chizano, come up top, bam, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Yes.
Turn your post notifications on.
Yes.
Like and share this video.
Yes.
And comment down below, baby. Man, come and join the squad, Half and J.
Why not?
We over here kicking off what?
Good vibes, baby. Good vibes. Boom. Boom.
Let's go. See what he got to say. Very intelligent gentleman.
The instrumental use of the history of slavery today also underlies the claim that slavery grew out of racism. For most of its long history, which includes most of the history of the human race, slavery was largely not the enslavement of racially different people, for the simple reason that only in recent centuries has either the technology or the wealth existed to go to another continent to get slaves and transport them en masse across an ocean. People were enslaved because they were vulnerable, not because of how they looked. The peoples of the Balkans were enslaved by fellow Europeans, as well as by the peoples of the Middle East, for at least 6 centuries before the first African was brought to the Western Hemisphere.
Wow.
Wow, let's go back and educate ourselves one more time on that. Hold on.
Enslaved because they were vulnerable, not because of how they looked. The peoples of the Balkans were enslaved by fellow Europeans, as well as by the peoples of the Middle East, for at least 6 centuries before the first African was brought to the Western Hemisphere. Before the modern era, by and large, Europeans enslaved other Europeans, Asians enslaved other Asians, Africans enslaved other Africans, and the indigenous peoples of the Western Hemisphere enslaved other indigenous peoples of the Western Hemisphere. Slavery was not based on race, much less on theories about race. Only relatively late in history did enslavement across racial lines occur on such a scale as to promote an ideology of racism that outlasted the institution of slavery itself. Wherever a separate people were enslaved, they were disdained or despised, whether they were different by country, religion, caste, race, or tribe. In East Africa, the Maasai were feared slave raiders, and other African tribes, either alone or in conjunction with Arabs, enslaved their more vulnerable neighbors. As late as 1891, it was reported that Manyuema slavers had demoralized surrounding tribes, destroying crops, and famine reigned everywhere. Even in the early 20th century, Abyssinians were still raiding other Africans and carrying off slaves. It was 1922 before the British had gained sufficient control in Tanganyika to stamp out slavery there. Arabs were the leading slave raiders in East Africa, ranging over an area larger than all of Europe. The total number of slaves exported from East Africa during the 19th century has been estimated to be at least 2 million.
Damn.
The form in which the story of slavery has reached most people today has been along the lines of the best-selling book and widely watched television miniseries Roots by Alex Haley. Challenged on the historical accuracy of Roots, Haley said,
If y'all seen the movie Roots, man, put a thumbs up down in the comment section for all the ones who have seen that movie Roots. Have you seen that movie Roots before?
Not to its entirety. I watched some of it, which I need to watch it.
Yeah, I watched that movie probably like 3 times. My mom, she can't stand to watch it though. You know what I mean? You know, because she's from that era back
Right.
then. You know what I mean? So she you know,
It's hard to
it's hard
watch.
for her to watch.
Right.
And my grandfather before he passed away, like he, you know.
the lines of the best-selling book and widely watched television miniseries Roots by Alex Haley. Challenged on the historical accuracy of Roots, Haley said, I tried to give my people a myth to live by. This instrumental use of history, or purported history, is open to the same objections as other instrumental myth-making.
I just got my hands on the Arizona Adobe Captain from Thursday Boots. I like the construction and the weight of the boot. You can feel the materials are of great quality. The leather is thick and feels durable.
Despite the impression created by Roots, during the era of the massive slave trade from West Africa, a white man was more likely to catch malaria in Africa than to catch slaves himself. The average life expectancy of a white man in the interior of sub-Saharan Africa at that time was less than 1 year. By and large, men from Europe or the Western Hemisphere came to the coasts of Africa, bought their slaves, and left as soon as possible. Even so, the death rates among the white crews of the ships carrying slaves to the Western Hemisphere were as high as the death rates among the slaves themselves. It was only much later, after quinine and other medical measures enabled Europeans to survive where there were tropical diseases, was it possible for them to invade Africa in force and establish empires there. But by then, the Atlantic slave trade had already been ended. During the era of that trade, Africa was largely ruled by Africans, who established the conditions under which slave sales took place. The crew of a slave ship was in no position to defy African rulers and their armies by going out across the land and capturing people willy-nilly. The stronger African peoples captured and enslaved the weaker peoples. The same pattern found over the centuries in Europe, Asia, the Western Hemisphere, and Polynesia. In Nyasaland, the Ngoni and Yao swaggered over and terrorized other tribes. In Uganda, the Baganda made life miserable for their neighbors. And the Neo...
So basically, what they're saying is what was not taught was that almost every race was enslaving their own race. But the way that we was taught is that just the white man came over and,
Right.
you know, snatched us up and
Put us on a boat.
put us on a boat, shipped us over here to whatever states and this and that. And,
Right.
and that's how everything supposedly has started. So, you know.
It's just everything we've been reacting to is just like it's a wake up call.
Right, it's an eye opener.
It is.
It's an eye opener.
Yes.
Makes you look at things differently
And how we, as black people, we have pretty much, majority of us have been taught the same thing. We think the same way. It's a trip. And when someone else thinks differently than we do,
Right.
they are a sellout.
it's like
It's crazy.
like they put a chip into each black person kind of,
Right.
and that same chip had the same memory and same
Same everything. Everything.
you know what I mean, makes you think the same,
Oh yeah.
you know, all that type of shit.
Right.
And then, you know, like you said, the ones who didn't have that chip thought differently and was looked at differently. You know?
Because they're educated,
Right.
speak very articulate.
And did their research
Right.
about things before they just jumped on the bandwagon and started believing
Right.
what everybody was just saying.
I mean, it's sad, man.
Yeah. It's a trip.
In Uganda, the Baganda made life miserable for their neighbors, and the Nyoro and Hima of Anko enslaved Toro women and children. The Tutsi dominated the Hutu in Rwanda, the Maasai lorded it over the Kikuyu and Kamba, and the latter, in turn, held the Indorobo in a kind of serfdom. It was precisely the fact that Europeans, except for the Portuguese, seldom participated in the raids that captured and enslaved Africans that enabled most people in Europe and the Americas to remain oblivious to the traumatic experience that this was, with some Africans committing suicide to avoid capture and wives being whipped as they tried to cling to their husbands or children. Historian David Breon Davis pointed out that Europeans had little contact with the actual process of enslavement, and that, as late as 1721, the Royal African Company asked its agents to investigate the modes of enslavement in the interior. Europeans typically saw only the end results, enslaved people being offered for sale on the coast. It was much the same story in the Ottoman Empire, where those who bought slaves had no idea what these slaves had been through before. The unique position of the Western world in the history, and especially the destruction of slavery, need not imply that there was unanimity within the West on this institution. In addition to whites who defended the enslavement of Africans on racial grounds, or who opposed general emancipation on social grounds, there were many whites, and even blacks, who defended slavery as a matter of self-interest as slave owners. Although most black owners of slaves in the United States were only nominal owners of members of their own families, there were thousands of other blacks in the antebellum South who were commercial slave owners, just like their white counterparts. An estimated 1/3 of the free persons of color in New Orleans.
You know what? It's crazy. I seen a movie. I can't think of the name of it. But a black man had another black man as a slave, like having out there doing his crop for him, and you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff. So, you know,
their white counterparts. An estimated 1/3 of the free persons of color in New Orleans were slave owners, and thousands of these slave owners volunteered to fight for the Confederacy during the Civil War. Black slave owners were even more common in the Caribbean. In short, there were many defenders of slavery in the West, even in the 19th century. And outside the West, slavery was too widely accepted to require defense. No other nation ended slavery in the same way as the United States did, and few ended it after so short a struggle, as history is measured. How and why did slavery end in most of the world? There were two major processes. Over the centuries, as more and more territories around the world consolidated into nation-states with their own armies and navies, raiding those territories to capture and enslave the people who lived within them became more hazardous in itself, and also risked military retaliation against the countries from which the raiders came. Thus, more and more peoples became off-limits to slave raiders over time. Put differently, the areas which remained subject to slave raiding over the centuries were primarily those where the people lived in smaller or weaker societies. Such societies continued to exist where it was difficult, for geographic or other reasons, to consolidate large areas under one government. This was true of the Balkans, the backwaters of Asia, and much of sub-Saharan Africa. By the early modern era, sub-Saharan Africa, with its numerous and severe geographic handicaps, was one of the last remaining areas from which vast numbers of people could be enslaved.
Yeah, so army came in to these different countries and kind of like put a halt to it.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all can't keep coming over here and, you know, taking our people and, you know what I mean, doing all that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's crazy.
Education is key.
Yeah.
Key to life.
Yeah. And doing your research too, though. You know what I mean? Before you just kind of go with.
Right, go with the flow.
Yeah, go with the flow. Be with the in crowd, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's always good to be with the in crowd, but when you always stand alone, that's when you always the person who stands out. Like you stick out because you're all by yourself.
And it's crazy because majority of us were just taught that way. Just,
Right.
taught the same thing. And, our beliefs, we weren't even in the same household.
Right.
We just
Right.
went by word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
And
Like I said, the whole black community, like almost the whole black community, though.
almost majority of us.
Right, majority of us. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
crazy.
Right.
Especially where we're from.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks the same.
Yeah.
Unless you just really put your, self into the books and,
Right.
like you said, do research and
Right.
learn all this.
But I was having a conversation the other day with one of my homeboys. You know what I'm saying? And I was asking him, like, you know what I'm saying, do you think us as blacks were pacified and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't agree with that, though. He was like, hell no, nigga. He was like, nigga, the government plays us and uses us, so why not use it against them? And, this, that, and the third. And, you know what I mean?
But
Shit like that, though.
it's like it's holding you back.
Yeah.
You're not moving forward.
Right.
You think you're using the system, but you're messing yourself up,
Right.
messing your generations down the line. You're not learning anything. You're not trying to,
Right. You're holding
or
yourself
even
back,
if you
like
do,
said.
you limited yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's crazy. This is good. That's how I talk. That's just
Right.
my word.
Right.
It's crazy,
Right.
but it is. It's
Right.
we were basically taught the same things. We went to different
Different
schools
schools,
and learned the same thing.
same thing. You can live way out in New York somewhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And still have the similar beliefs that we
Similar
do.
beliefs.
Grew up the same way we did.
Yeah. And I was while I was getting my hair cut, I was watching an old taping of Jerry Springer back in '96. When they had the Ku Klux Klan on there. You know what I'm saying? And Jerry Springer was like, and he was getting mad. You can tell he was getting mad the way he was talking to him. He said, listen, he says, nothing you can tell me that a baby is born a racist.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because when a baby is a baby, they don't see color.
They don't.
They don't see that. They don't see no hatred in color until they're taught that. You know what I'm saying?
That's the truth.
Yeah. And they was up there, no, this and that and the third, but it's the truth. But that's where I feel all this racism, all that, that's where it comes from.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's learned behavior.
Exactly. Somebody taught somebody that, and how they was feeling about a certain color. You feel what I'm saying? Like real talk.
Learned behavior.
Yeah, everybody's born loving somebody because you don't know no better. You're a kid. You're a child. You know what I'm saying? Unless like your kid, your mom or somebody say, don't touch that fire. It's hot. You ain't gonna touch it. Or
it's learned behavior.
Yeah.
Either the way you were raised, the group of people you hang around with, and I feel like it's a lot of bullies who become, racist. Hurt people.
Right.
Real.
Yeah.
talk.
And the main one, I'm gonna say this real quick. We can end it, but unless you have something else to say, but it's always the ones who had a situation with a certain race, something may happen to them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now they hate the whole entire race. So. But anyway, you want to add anything?
I'm just shocked that, like, I'm happy I'm learning all of this now, but I'm mad at myself because I didn't take time out to learn, go deeper into history.
Right.
I'm mad at myself.
But see, you can't be mad at yourself. But see, that's what getting older does, though. It expands your mind and lets you see things differently than what you were seeing when you was younger. You feel me? Because when you was younger, you was confined to. You understand what I'm saying? But as you grow and you get out and you explore the world more.
Right. I could have chosen, to be into history more and learning more.
Right.
But
Right.
I chose otherwise.
Right. So, But anyway, let's get into the shout out.
Okay, first shout out goes to Garrett Horsch. What's up, Garrett Horsch?
Garrett Horsch rhymes with Porsche. Hey, but shout out to you though, Garrett, man. Hope you enjoyed that. Thomas Sowell. Some facts about slavery that they did not teach in school.
Right.
Let us know if you enjoyed that content. Comment down below. Come back and join us for some more.
Yes. Second shout out goes to Bert Watkins. What's up, Bert Watkins?
Bert Watkins. Hey, what's going on with you, champ? Rhymes with Dawkins.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Shout out to you though, Bert, man.
Oh, Bert. He's crazy.
Yep. Hope you enjoyed that Thomas Soul, man. Let us know what you thought about that content. Comment down below.
Yes.
Y'all come back and join us for some more reactions. You know?
Yes.
We love y'all.
Yes, we do.
And we out this thing.
We out this thing.
All right, we going then, y'all.
Yes.
Peace.
Peace.